Hello friends, today on I See Melanie, we're making homemade chicken stock. So we need chicken, and you can see all this chicken here only cost me about $10. And I'm using chicken drumsticks. These are the best pieces of chicken to use for making stock because they have the joints, and that will make the stock very gelatinous at the end. So I've rinsed off each piece of chicken and I'm wiping them down and I'm putting them in my Dutch oven here. So I'll be roasting these in the oven. And before you say,
Girl, you don't season your chicken?
no, I do not when it comes to this roasting portion of making the stock. So I'm using a Dutch oven and this pan here that is ready to go both in the oven and on the stove top. You can use a cookie sheet if you don't have one. But you see here I'm placing a bit of foil on top in the roasting process. Sometimes I don't do this, other times I do. Today I'm using a cover for both of these pots, and the pot and the pan, and I'm putting them in the oven. So I typically put them in the oven for about an hour or so, about 50 minutes. And I put it from 375 to 400, really anywhere in that range I think is good. I think today I put it at about 50 minutes. Okay, and so while that's getting ready, I prepared my aromatics. So that is onions, celery, carrots, pepper seeds, bay leaves, garlic, and some ginger to give the stock some flavor. So it's done. Now the roasting, and we can see here the marrow is coming out. This is good to go. At this point, the chicken is very hot, of course, and so this is the best time to separate the chicken from the bone. So actually, first I'm separating the skin, and then I'm going to separate the chicken pieces and put them in one plate and put the skin and bone in another plate. So at this point, I wasn't sure what I was going to be doing with the chicken. I was thinking of making chicken soup. I actually end up using this chicken to make some sandwiches later on. But again, there's a lot of flexibility when you're in this process. And so, yes, make sure you separate the skin, especially while it's hot, because it'll be almost impossible or very, very difficult to take it off when it's room temperature. So here we see I'm just putting the pieces of chicken in a bowl. And so I put this in the freezer because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I came back to it a few days later. Now, this bowl here just has chicken bones and skin. And so this is great to put in the broth. The skin especially will give it flavor. We'll add some fat, but it'll also contribute to the collagen and the gelatin. So here is a little bit of vinegar I put in. And so vinegar, any acid, helps break down the connections, and it helps extract the nutrients. It lets all the collagen come out while you're making the stock. So you just want to mix it up. You can use lemon juice, lime juice, apple cider vinegar, whatever, and let it sit on the counter for about 10 minutes. And now I'm back to my stove top. And what I'm doing here is I'm deglazing the pan so I can get all that good fond left over. And that's a lot of extra flavor. I'm eventually going to put all these remnants into the stock itself. And so what I did is I put it in the freezer to make it solidify fast for you guys. And you can see I'm taking off some of the fat. You can use this fat to saute some onions or whatever you want later on, or just keep it in. But look at this. See how gelatinous that was? That's really great. I'm going to put this in the pot with the stock. So that's the benefit of using a pot that's good to use on the stovetop and in the oven. So at this point, I'm putting in the aromatics. And so if you know what flavor profile you're going for, you can add some spices along with these aromatics. Again, I wasn't sure at the time, but in previous broths I made, I've used lemon peel, chili peppers, chives, all sorts of different things. I filled the pot up with water, and I'm going to cover it and get it to a boil. So it's gotten to a boil, and so now I can drop this down to a simmering temperature. So I brought it down to about a 2. And I put the cover back on and I let it cook for at least 4 hours. The longer the better. I've done it for up to 12 hours sometimes. If you're home all day, it's perfect. And so this is after about 4 hours here. And I'm ready to separate the broth, the stock, from all the stuff that I put in. So we see the carrots are there, the celery's there, and they're super soft. If you have a baby and you want to make homemade baby food, you just get those carrots and mash it up with a fork. That's an excellent baby food. Even I just eat it on my own. I'm definitely not a baby, but it's very good to use. And so this stuff here is like liquid gold. So you want to make sure you get out every bit of liquid. And I put it in a bowl and I let it sit on the counter for a little bit before I put this very hot bowl into my fridge. And again, if you know the flavor profile you want, you can add paprika, turmeric, whatever the spices you like to add. And so this is overnight, so the next day, and we can see that things have, kind of solidified and the layer of fat is at the top. So if you don't like too much fat, this is a very good way of removing it. And so I think I left all the fat in because there really isn't that much. And the fat adds flavor. Fat is fun. But again, if you want to saute garlic or onions with this fat, it's really good. And you can even freeze it and use it for later. I do that all the time too. We see how nice and jiggly this is, right? That is the marker of a good broth, good stock. You want it to be as jiggly as possible. Again, at this point, if you want to add some spices, if you know what flavor profile you're going for, you can do that. I drink broth from a cup. I also use it in soups, obviously. You can use it in making all sorts of dishes. There's a lot of flexibility with your own homemade stock, and I'm actually going to show you how you can make stock in a pressure cooker. So make sure you stay tuned for that video coming up next, and make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you later on I See Melanie. Bye.